Namaste, angels. This will be the weekly general reading for the period of Sunday, April 15th through Saturday, April 21st. I'm doing it really early. Today is only the 12th, but I was just guided to do it sort of randomly. I sat down to do client readings, actually, and I was moved to do this first. So here we go. I'm going to start, I think, with what's going on astrologically and astronomically this week, beginning with the 15th at 5:21 a.m. Mercury, which is retrograde in Aries, will face direct, or at least give the illusion of doing so, after having given the illusion of going backward over the past few weeks. Also on April 15th, the new moon in Aries, 26 degrees Aries 2, which to me is like an 8 and an 11. An 8 and an 11 represent Saint Germain and his divine feminine, Lady Portia, as well as justice and abundance, and maybe specifically as it relates to partnerships. Justice as it relates to Aries, as pushing us toward taking action. But a few things this week will be pushing us to take action, not just the new moon in Aries. Also, falling into this week on April 17th at 4:09 a.m. That's the 13 or 4 or 11:11, 4:09 a.m. Chiron enters Aries. Some of you may recall that I mentioned pretty much everything we've been seeing play out astronomically and astrologically over the past year or two is part of my natal chart. My Chiron is in Aries, so I'll let you know more about people like us, but basically we are the fall down and we get up people. You know, we brush it off and we keep moving without the need to talk about with anybody how we were hurt or whatever. We just heal ourselves. Also on the 17th, so the same day that Chiron enters Aries, and at 4:09 a.m. at 9:47 a.m., so like a 9:11 or 11 as it relates to the time, Saturn goes retrograde 9 degrees Capricorn. 9 degrees Capricorn, 9 is, so it's like 11, 9, 9, which of course together is just 11 again, or maybe another 2 for action in partnerships, action in faith, making faith works as we're meant to. On the 19th, the sun enters Taurus. Happy birthday to the Taurians this week. And that happens at 11:12 p.m. So we just missed it by 1 minute, another 11:11. Yeah, and then as of the 20th, we'll be celebrating Taurus birthdays. And the rest of this falls into next week's reading. So on that note, I will tell you first what's going on, I think, on the Jewish calendar. There's nothing on the Christian calendar. But on the Jewish calendar, not on the 15th, but on the 16th, which for some people will be the new moon in Aries. Not all of us will celebrate it on the 15th or recognize it on the 15th. The Hebrew month of Iyar starts. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about that in a moment too. But first, the planets. This is another week of healing. Another week to seek healing. Another week to work on healing yourself, or to allow yourself to be healed. Another week to work through pains and fears. Another week because you may have at the end of March experienced some sort of breakup or end or phase of a relationship or situation in your life. Now the time to get over that. And as I talk about this healing, there goes Raphael with the sirens. So on that note, what planets did I say were going to be in retrograde this week? I believe it was Saturn. Saturn takes around 29.5 years to do a complete revolution around the sun. Saturn goes into retrograde every year for around 140 days. When Saturn goes retrograde, it is a good time to revisit our relationships, work on long-term goals, responsibilities, and duties. It is a time to restructure the way that we manifest our reality and to find a new attitude toward obstacles. So it's perfect that this is happening now, because that's actually what the new moon in Aries, at least from my perspective, is kind of going to push us to do too. Like I was saying, we've ended, many of us, different relationships or phases and situations in our life as of the end of March, and maybe running into the beginning of April. Today's only the 12th, like I was saying. And now these changes are going to help us to move toward action in these areas. So awesome. What else? Was there another planet that was retrograde? Okay, no, that other planet would be Pluto, and that doesn't go retrograde until the 22nd. So like I said, that'll be part of next week's reading. And next week is like action-packed too, a bunch of stuff going on in the celestial system. So getting back to this healing and stuff. I told you what I feel about the new moon. I told you what I feel about the retrograde. Now for Chiron and Aries, I've told you what that is to me too, but I just Googled Chiron and Aries and I clicked on the first one that popped up. So it's something called astrolibrary.org, astrolibrary.org/Chiron-in-Aries. Chiron and Aries, updated as of January 30th, 2018 by Corrine Lane, Corrine. Lane is her last name, the author of this, whatever it is, blog or something. People with Chiron and Aries in their birth chart have had to deal with personal injuries, both physical and physiological, and yet these people are not your regular victims. Others may not even be able to tell that these people have had deep injuries. This is because Chiron and Aries people shake off their pain and move forward quickly. They're extremely resilient. These are the people that have friends who feel their pain more than they do themselves. Chiron and Aries people will be the ones telling you to, quote unquote, suck it up when you're hurt. Chiron is about pain and healing. People with Chiron and Aries heal quickly without much thought, blazing trails even while blood drips from their open wounds. You may think that they're insensitive until you find out just how many painful, damaging experiences they've had. Then you'll wonder how they even survived. Now this doubled or coupled with the fact that I'm a Gemini, and we're pretty much like that too. We come off as cold and insensitive, as do air signs in general. But of course, Gemini, everything is double. Everything is times 2 to the second power. We come off very cold and insensitive, and I'm feeling, because we keep it moving. We can't even stay in the same energy for longer than, a minute. We're upset. Next thing you know, we're like, okay, forget this. I'm not staying like this, and I'm happy now. And that comes off as bipolar. But for me as an individual, having both of these in my chart can explain to some of you who know me in that way why exactly I may seem unaffected. Even those of you who have tried to push my buttons, and those of you who I'm not friendly with, because maybe you don't get me, and you tried to push my buttons and I was unaffected. It didn't work or whatever. This is why. So in either case, it's nothing personal. People like me. But what does that mean for the rest of us that Chiron is entering Aries? This will be a push for you as well to keep it moving. Address the hurt. Address the hurt. Don't belabor it. Don't wallow in it. Don't wallow in your sorrows and everything. This is the time to take action. Aries, ruled by Mars, the planet of action, moves us to take action and to be leaders in our own lives. Even if we hadn't been before. This is a new start, right? It's a new moon and a new start and a new period, a new phase, even for Chiron. Chiron's been in Capricorn for months. So it's going from that energy of being held back and restricted and stagnant to I can do all things. And so can you. On this same theme of healing, again, on the Hebrew calendar, on the 16th is the first day of the month of Iyar. So to go over that, I went to Shabad.org, as I tend to, www.chabad.org. And I'm going to read you guys a time to heal the month of Iyar. That's what the month is about. This is by Sarah Schneider. The Torah counts the cycle of months from Nisan. For Nisan is the month where we were born as a people, as a nation, and as a higher order unity called Knesset, Israel, the mystical body of Israel. Just as a cell that makes up an animal has a life and an identity of its own, an equally significant truth about that cell is its contribution to the larger organism of what it is a part. And so that cell has two eyes, two levels of self-awareness, an I that experiences itself as a self-contained unit, a single independent entity with its own nucleus and DNA, etc., and a second I that identifies with the higher order, unity, the animal of which it is a part. Similarly, we are both individuals and cells in a higher order unity called the Knesset Israel, the mystical body of Israel. Now, this collective entity, the Jewish people, was conceived, as it were, with Abraham and Sarah as they floated down the fallopian tube with Isaac. Now, I just want to point out, Abraham's first child was Egyptian. So I'm reading for this website is a Jewish website. However, the Torah itself does, at least in this regard, honestly reveal and explain that these people weren't all Jews. They were Jews and Egyptians. All of the children of Israel, quote unquote, children of Israel, are to whom these things refer. So that includes Egyptians. Sarah was Abraham's wife. She was not the mother of his first child, his son. That was Hagar. And this is in the Bible. This is in the Torah. This is all the, all these places. You can look it up yourself. So I'll just go. I just wanted to clarify that, and I'll go back over this part. This collective entity, the Jewish people, was conceived, as it were, with Abraham and Sarah as they floated down the fallopian tube with Isaac and implanted in the dark womb of Egypt when Jacob came down with his 70 souls. There, they gestated for 210 years until they reached a total of 600,000 family units, 600,000 root souls. Okay, these are the elect. They were born on the 7th day of Passover when they passed through the Red Sea, the spiritual equivalent to the birth canal. So this exodus through the Red Sea, again, was not only of people who considered themselves or were considered Jewish at the time. These were also Egyptians, all believers in the God of Israel, whomever that applied at the time. So now with this cycle of months, beginning with Nisan, it defines a logical sequence of development, moving through the year from Passover to Shavuot, Tishva B'Av, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, and then to Purim. And it's relatively a smooth progression that makes sense. Passover is our birth as a nation. Then, in the 50 days that follow until Shavuot, we develop and mature. So I just want to be clear again, the people who were passed over consisted of who we know as Jews or what we read of as Jews at the time, the original Hebrew people, and Egyptians. although they were fleeing Egypt. What they were fleeing was Egyptians and Egypt who did not believe in the quote unquote God of Israel. Okay. So that's how Passover became their birth as a nation, the birth of this collective, okay? Passover is our birth as a nation. Then in the 50 days that follow until Shavuot, we develop and mature, characteristic by characteristic, day by day. And Shavuot is our wedding, the marriage ceremony between God and the Jewish people. Yet, as is always the case, there quickly follows a fall from innocence, a fall from grace. With sin, with the calf and the spies, or with causeless hatred, or with other sins, and our world shatters, our temple shatters. That's Tisha B'Av. Yet, out of the ashes, the phoenix rises. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we pick ourselves up from the muck, clean ourselves off, do our repentance, and in so doing, repair our relationship with God. Yet something has changed, and it's actually for the better. For we know that those who have worked and who have truly worked on themselves and rectified themselves stand on a level that even the completely righteous can't stand. Each year we repeat this cycle. But what does that really mean? How do these vast historical processes play themselves out for us on a yearly cycle? What is actually being born for us on Passover each year? So the mystical writings teach that from the moment we are born, our soul contains all the wisdom and insights that we will ever absorb throughout the course of our life. Yet these, quote, lights are not yet integrated into our personality. They exist in potential, but are not actually part of us yet. The part of our soul that is not yet integrated is called a makif, which literally means hovering, because it hovers around us, waiting for our vessel to stretch, to be able to hold and to contain more of its lights. On Passover, some new increment of soul, some new chunk of consciousness comes in and becomes slowly integrated through the course of the year. Eventually, it must be absorbed so deeply that our instinctive and reflective way of relating to the world is now conditioned by its truth. Now that, in part, it touches on what this whole thing is about. What quote-unquote twin flames or divine beings even are, what the illumined and the elect are, and how we came to be this way and why we had to be reawakened. Is because when we were first put here, we had a higher vibration. That's how we were able to accomplish things that beings now, humans now, still can't even understand and figure out. How were the pyramids built? How did ancient people build elevators and, all these grand items, things that look like planes and all of this? How did this come to be? Their vibration was higher than ours. Okay, so they were capable of more. But as the world became this place filled with ego and fear and hate, the very planet's vibration was lowered and almost diminished, endangered. And so the prophecies state that the elect and the illumined will be awakened and their vibrations restored, basically healed through love, so that similar to as she was discussing earlier in the writing, we as individuals, once we become increased, once we become full of love, we can, in unity with others, share that love and help, again, the very planet vibration to increase. And that has been working. There are people who measure the planet's vibration, and it has been shown to have been steadily increasing since people have been awakening, whether they are, of the elect and the illumined or not, just people, humanity in general. All right, so to get back to the reading, And what does it mean to be born? It means that a soul comes into a body. So each year on Passover, a new increment of our soul is born. In that sense, that now, for the first time, it comes down into our body and brings with it all the lights and insights and lessons that we will absorb this coming year. Now, if Passover marks the birth of this new chunk of soul, then the month of Iyar is its infancy. And as every mother knows, that is a labor-intensive time. Newborns and young children require nearly constant care and attention. And so here, now, in our yearly cycle, we have the daily commandment of counting the Omer. Iyar is the only month in the year where every day has a special time, a bound commandment to perform. This newborn chunk of soul is receiving daily work on ourselves. So the entire month is about healing from this Hebrew perspective. From the perspective of Chiron in Aries, the entire next few months will be about healing. From the perspective of the new moon in Aries, this period, at least the next 2 weeks, will be about healing through action. That's the theme. So in Iyar, we embark upon this first leg of our journey. The month of Iyar links Passover to Shavuot, and so it brings us from birth to betrothal. Let's look more closely at what's happening. Every Hebrew month has a unique sense attributed to that month and corresponds to a different part of the body. The special sense of the month of Hirher, thinking, ruminating, and according to a rabbi, it is a term that refers more to the thoughts of the heart than the thoughts of the head. And the part of the body that corresponds to the month is the right kidney. These two associations go quite well together. In the Kabbalistic system of correspondences, kidneys are the subconscious or instinctive root of emotion. And as opposed to the heart area, which is filled with, or which is about kindness, strength, and harmony, this kidney part expresses the conscious emotions. The test of whether a characteristic is truly integrated into a person is when the spontaneous impulses arises from the kidney are always and only aligned with it. According to Kabbalah, the chain of generations, the link that joins parent to child, is first and foremost a primal bond at the level of the kidneys. Children inherit the parents' instinctive, unrectified, and also rectified roots and emotion. These are the raw materials, the psycho-spiritual inheritance, out of which our personality gets built. Each family tree is both a bloodline and a lineage of neuroses, which parents transmit to children metaphorically through their kidneys. The children then rectify whatever they can in the course of their lives and pass the baton to their kids. This is not only a spiritual metaphor. It also applies to the physiological level as well. First of all, the adrenal glands are attached to the kidneys, and they produce and control the hormones that regulate our reproductive functions. And second, when Kabbalah refers to the kidneys, it actually is referring to the entire area of the body defined by the lower three areas, and they list them in Hebrew. They are Sephiro, Nechak, Had, Yesod, victory, splendor, and foundation, which include not only the kidneys and adrenals, but also the ovaries, womb, testicles, and genitals. Thus, when Kabbalah refers to the kidneys as the link between generations, it is referring to the entire lower torso occupied by the kidneys, along with the reproductive organs that produce the egg and the sperm and hormones that will become the next generation. Every cell in a child's body contains something of the physical material of its parents. And this genetic material that is the bridge between generations derives from the kidney area of the parents. So both the physical and physiological transmission from parent to child occurs at the levels of the kidneys and lower torso. According to Kabbalah, the further something is from the head, the more unconscious it is. So this is like as we move away from the universe or God or whatever you choose to call it, the higher energy source that unites us all, the further we are away from it, the lower our vibration. This is why we're needing to strive to become nearer and dearer to it every day. This is the purpose of the healing, what the healing's all about. So these areas are the more unconscious realms of the soul. Just as the physical transmission of influence happens outside our conscious involvement, this is generally true for the physiological component as well. Both nature and nurture are generally unconscious. The actual mechanics of conception and reproduction are not under our conscious control. And similarly, for our physiological transmission, it seems clear that children learn a little from what we say and most from what we do, who we are. They seem to have an incredible receptivity to the more subtle energetic realities that we create around ourselves through our thoughts. And so we learn our lessons and try to become more conscious and to do our rectifications and integrate them into our kidneys. We chip away at the vein of neurosis that is our family tree and hopefully transit a slightly more cleaned and healthy inheritance onto our children. This is talking about generational curses, essentially, right? This is why the greatest gift that we can give to our parents is the progress that we make in bringing rectification and consciousness to our lives. That's what it means to carry on their work. Now, as we've said, the sense associated with the month of Iyar is thinking, ruminating. This implies that our primary front of effort this month should focus on our flow of thoughts. That is the place for us to direct our efforts in Iyar. The idea is that our patterns of thought define our patterns of life. And so, as anyone who meditates knows quite well, there are different layers of thought happening simultaneously at all times. Some are superficial and some are very deep. We can learn a lot about ourselves from paying attention to our thoughts. In general, that requires setting aside a period of time of 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes for just sitting and watching the flow of thoughts that pass through awareness. You will quickly learn about your own particular brand of neurosis through the habits of thought that you unearth in this practice. And it's just the first step. The second step is called labeling, where as soon as you notice a thought, you identify its category. For example, judging, coveting, predicting. These things can be among the worst. It is here that the patterns begin to emerge. Wow, I just had 15 judging thoughts in less than 5 minutes. It's shocking to discover all the self-defeating and spiritually unproductive things that we say to ourselves in the course of the day. Now, for the third and final step, the idea is to cause, quote unquote, truth to rule over the quote unquote thought. Once you have spent some time watching and labeling your thoughts and have identified the self-sabotaging patterns, those of you on my Facebook page know I've been talking about self-sabotaging this week. Once you identify those patterns, that they're actively arising in the present, it becomes possible to make use of the technique that is called Hasidut Yikadim. And this is the idea that every spiritually unproductive thought is based on a lie. That's like saying the devil is a liar or the devil is a lie. That's what that means. Okay. The quote unquote devil. It's an energy and all these things, just like everything else. Its power comes from concealing the untruth that lurks at its core. The practice of this is a technique that exposes the lie by speaking the truth that it is undoing. The counter-truth serves as an infinitely potent antidote that dissolves the destructive thought and its root. For example, let's say one discovers a pattern of jealous thoughts. I want a husband like hers. I want a child like hers. I want a body like hers. A possible counter-statement might be, God knows my life's mission even better than I. He designed it. He wills it. and he is bound by an irrevocable covenant to assist its fulfillment from cradle to grave. Not a moment passes where he fails to provide the resources required for my next step in personal and spiritual growth. The blessings that I covet in other people's lives would only be obstacles to my soul's work. This moment is perfect. It has all that I need. I know that this is true. Now you can replace God with, universe or source, or again, whatever it is in which you believe the higher energy to be. But you need that faith. You need that conviction. I know that this is true. Our thoughts become our reality. So if you believe it, you can receive it. This technique, when properly employed, can dissolve deeply ingrained patterns at their root. It is extremely potent and cost efficient. It takes minimal effort, and yields bountiful results. And it is the special work of this month. So I want to bless us as individuals and as a nation that we be warm, wise, and loving parents to the newborn infant souls that are everywhere around us and within us, that we seize this opportunity to clean out the level of thoughts, thereby dissolving at least one of the self-defeating patterns of our lives, and that we and all our brothers and sisters should absorb the healing lights of this holy month. They should bring relief and recovery to all our ails immediately. And this space created by all this cleansing should pull the lights of redemption into the world now. Now, did you hear that last sentence? The cleansing. I've been talking about the cleansing of energy, which is basically what that whole spiel was about. I talk about it all the time because I perform energy healing as part of what I do, my offerings. But I've been talking about it a lot over the past 3-4 weeks, and how very important it is and has been. And now we see it continues to be, not by my say, by historically. This is the period where we need to work on these things. So if you need cleansing, seek cleansing. Again, if it's not from me, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about patronize me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't patronize me. If you are so inclined to come to me for your healing, but that's not the important thing of what I'm trying to get across. What I'm trying to get across that is pivotal, crucial, not only for you as an individual, but again, to get back to this thing about unity and the collective, is that you heal yourself in this time. If you want to be a quote unquote twin flame, you feel you are a divine being, you are chosen, you are among the elect, you are among the illumined. It is your duty to not just be trying to get into the relationship of your dreams, but to want to save the world. And you do it by starting with yourself. All right, so I'm going to get off my soapbox and go to the dice now. Beginning with party. It's 50-50. We all got to put in on this. And weekend away. Maybe that will help you to heal, like some sort of break, vacation, and a period to meditate. I went last weekend. I was at a wellness convention, basically, where we did yoga and meditated, and I learned about thermography, the science of basically using heat to locate any obstructions and any disease or whatever in the body, because all of this is reflected by an increase of heat in that area. It's all metabolic. Anyway, I won't go into trying to teach about thermography, but these are some of the things that I did this weekend that go toward healing. So that could be what weekend away means for some of you at this point. All right, so that's what we're starting with, and let's see what we end up with. Spirit says no. So maybe if you've been pondering a yes or no question, he just helped you to answer it. Also 29. So spiritual partnership could be very important this week. Not necessarily romantic, but absolutely that could be the type of spiritual partnership into which you enter. And massage, which is another healing modality. Massage, acupuncture, right? Reflexology, which kind of goes hand in hand with massage. All of these things, you know, are different mechanisms for healing. On that same theme, we're not going to get out of it. I shuffled right away to this overall energy in my surrender cards, from where I'm going to get some of our advice. But I will open with this message: surrender to complete healing. Open fully to the loving, compassionate forces of the universe that support your physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. And with that, we're beginning with the King of Fire, who is motivational, idealistic, ambitious, and charismatic, and maybe is representing Aries, the Chiron in Aries, perhaps. Maybe is representing Jupiter, which remains in retrograde. I didn't mention it, but Jupiter is in retrograde too. It has been for a while in Scorpio. Maybe it's about the Aries moon that we have today, the day on which I'm doing this reading. The King of Fire is motivational, idealistic, ambitious, and charismatic. Focus, focus, focus. Communicate with vision and be a leader. Take advice from someone creative. It can be about being a leader. Again, beginning with your own life and then helping others to do the same. King of Fire also represents the divine masculine in the tarot. And opening 2, the Five of Fire, competing goals, bothersome details, conflict with others. That may be the case, but this can also be reflective of the action and aggressiveness, sometimes to the point of being overbearing and too much, but like just like go-getter sort of spirit of Aries, again, or of Mars in general. King of Fire, the Six of Air. Things are looking up. It's the end of a difficult situation. You may even be taking a trip. This can go along with weekend away, perhaps. Six of Air. And the Dreamer, which for me in this deck in particular represents the planet Mercury, also in retrograde, but facing direct on the day for which this reading begins, April 15th. The Dreamer, or the Fool in traditional tarot, is about a leap of faith, a brand new path you never walked before. We're going to get on it, you know, and trust that we've received, you know, the correct guidance, and we can trust that guidance. A leap of faith. Follow your dreams. That leads to unexpected opportunities. Mercury, of course, ruler of both Gemini and Virgo. So they may be impactful here, in addition to the fire signs that we began with. The King of Fire could also be reflective of a Leo, Sagittarius, or again, Aries. I'm not sure I pointed that out. Six of Air. And the Page of Earth, speaking of Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Page of Earth may very well be a Virgo. It can be a Taurus, where Venus is. Venus is in Taurus. Or it can be a Capricorn, where Mars is. Mars is in Capricorn. And it could be representative of Saturn, ruler of Capricorn, that goes retrograde this week. Scholarly, dependable, patient, and successful is the Page of Earth. Good news about financial matters, wanting to do something more challenging in a new area of study. So not only are things looking up, things may be looking up in the area of finances in particular, or the material, or opportunities to learn something new, and maybe to learn something new through a vocational program or an actual school. I'll go one more. The Eight of Water, a desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual and emotional growth, increase in vibration through healing, and the desire to do so. Page of Earth. And coming to the Seven of Earth, seeds well planted. Maybe at a temporary pause in action while we wait for them to grow, right? We don't panic just because we don't see the sprouts. We have faith that when you put a seed in the ground, it naturally sprouts, right? That's elementary, and we trust that that's what's happening. So any worry is unnecessary. Our overall energy this week for the general reading is the Four of Earth. Being too frivolous or too cautious with money, but it's not just money, it's abundance in general. It could be love too. Good business decisions are also possible when you see this card. And or giving to the less fortunate. So sharing the healing, right? Passing the baton. Being a blessing to another is showing them unconditional love, even if it's a stranger. So it's like giving to the less fortunate. That is showing who you determined to be less fortunate in whatever area it is that you're able to help them. That is showing them an act of unconditional love. Crowning the masculine, the Seven of Water, a complex decision, the need to do research. Stop procrastinating. The Seven of Water, although it's not a court card, for me represents the planet Neptune and the sign of Pisces, which it rules. It is about having options, choices, a decision to make possibly. Dreams, goals, ambition, you know, just, it could be fantasizing too. We may need to get our head out of the clouds. All of these are possible. Surrounding the masculine, it's the Chariot with Archangel Metatron, an important achievement, self-discipline and willpower and public recognition. Major Arcana card number 7, the Chariot, is a card of major victory. Probably, yeah, the strongest in that regard in the tarot. Only, you know, I guess second to it would be the Ace of Swords. So this is it on victory. This is also about movement. Similar to, it's funny, similar to like the court cards in the suit of air that would be representative of Mercury and the things that Mercury rules: transportation, travel, communication, modes of transportation. All of these things can come up when the Chariot is present too. Being a general reading, this can be about, you know, a car, or it can be about the travel, the vacation that we need to take, that the Six of Air represented. In the masculine subconscious, the Ace of Water, falling in love, or the resurgence of a relationship, spiritual growth and enhanced intuition, maybe even a new home. Masculine looking forward to a new start in some area that is going to make him emotionally fulfilled. But he's got choices, he's got options as to what that is exactly. And he will be victorious in that area. So for some of us, it's as simple as he's trying to pick like what color car or what kind of car he's going to get. Whatever it is, getting a car, period, is going to make him emotionally happy. I mean, it could be that simple. Wow. Okay, we have an 11-19 here, mirroring. But crowning the feminine, it's 19, Major Arcana card number 19, the Sun with Archangel Uriel, which does represent the planet Jupiter, because the Sun in the tarot represents the sign of Sagittarius. So again, Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio. Happy outcome, brilliant new ideas that lead to success if we have confidence in ourselves. Uriel, speaking of all the light that I talked about during that reading from Shabbat.org, Uriel, he's perched here because he, according to the scriptures, is the angel that was perched that saw the devil trying to enter. His name means God's light. The feminine is surrounded by the Hermit with Archangel Raziel. Spend time in quiet meditation, spiritual teaching, and self-discovery. So going within, maybe for the purposes of healing something, coming into some sort of enlightenment. Enlightenment. In the, it's another 11 to 2. In the feminine subconscious, the High Priestess with Archangel Haniel. Listen to your intuition. Have patience and consider carefully what you want before acting. So with the Hermit, we go within. We figure ourselves out, or at least what we want in this moment. We don't necessarily reveal all of what that is. We use it sparingly as we need to with the energy of the High Priestess. She doesn't necessarily throw it all out there, but she's all knowing, right? She's very wise. We're going to pay attention to this guidance that we've received. And then what action that we finally do take will result in a happy outcome. Crowning the union. The 9 of Earth, enjoying life's little luxuries, spending quiet time alone, and maybe successful self-employment. This 9 of Earth crosses this 9 of Earth for the feminine. So again, this is about going within, enjoying spending time with you, learning about you, getting to know you, getting to love you, and then making decisions and taking action. And they will be lucrative, successful. Also in the areas of finance on both sides. This is a good week for us all. No one's hurting. Maybe that's how the masculine's buying a car or going on a trip or moving house, right? All of these things, or starting a new relationship. That could be the abundance. Reconciling a past relationship, getting back together with somebody, having a baby. At the root. Very nice. Next to the masculine's ace of water, he shares with us an ace of earth, the inflow of abundance. And look how the 9 of earth crowning and the ace of earth at the root. This is a very abundant week. A promising business venture, important documents or contracts. Maybe we're signing, again, documents for a house, a home move. Both the chariot could be about moving or home, and the ace of water can be as well, as can the ace of earth. Somebody could, like, you know, be getting a new apartment, a new house, a new car, or a new something material. Yet it can still be a relationship too, like I said. And even if it is, then that's something lucrative and valuable as well. At the heart of the matter, boom, for some of us, it definitely is a relationship or some sort of partnership. You've come into your own new partnerships or contracts. Continue to move forward. And we have another 1119, yet another one. This whole row equals 1119, 19 plus 9 plus 2. This is an 1111 here, as is this. And we've got these 2 7s here. So this is a very like spiritually guided decision, if it is a decision, or a spirit, like it's a blessing if it's a material possession or a victory. Looks like the universe helped you out here. I'm going to further clarify these with more tarot cards, beginning again with the King of Spring. Now's your moment to step up into a leadership role. Don't back away from the spotlight, as your plans will be successful as long as you stay focused on the big picture. The King of Spring, again, could be the divine masculine, representation of the divine masculine. That's what he is in the tarot. He's inspiring, dramatic, ambitious, and wise. He may be representing your energy or somebody who will be impactful upon your life this week, who is a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, at least this week. Again, it can be representing Jupiter in retrograde. It could be representing Mars, ruler of Aries, into which, or out of which we exit this week. We enter Taurus. That may be what the Ace of Earth is about too. And it can also be Scorpio here. I thought I was feeling something else from there. Opening to the 3 of Autumn. Your most satisfying and profitable career comes from following your passions, listening to your heart, and doing what brings you joy. Your life purpose is best fulfilled by allowing your talents and true self to shine forth into the world. So whether this is your career or it's a relationship, it's following your heart and doing what will bring you joy and happiness. Like this row here, Ace of Water, 2 of Fire, the Sun. What's happier than that? Or even this, the 9 of Earth, the Two of Fire and the Ace of Earth. This is, you know, doing well, being happy. I didn't mean to slight the masculine. Your row 2 is awesome. Just the 7 of water, you know, it just shows how many choices you have. You know, you can do well many different ways. You've got this card of major victory here, and you've got a new, you know, like divine blessing that's going to make you extremely emotionally happy. 3 of water. You know what? Let's cut. And it's the 4 of winter. Thoroughly think things through before making a decision, if that's the case there. Continuing to overanalyze isn't going to get you any closer to a resolution. I said this could be about like fantasizing over and over again, head in the clouds. You got to like snap out of it and, you know, get more focused in your energy and your thought, like we just read about. Meditation and prayer will bring you the answers that you seek. The 4 of winter can also be about planning a vacation. The overall energy is the Lovers. True and long-lasting love finds its way into your life. Follow your heart with caring actions and choices. So again, everything we've been talking about. Atop the 7 of spring and crossing the 2 of wands, it's the 2 of wands yet again. I'm sorry, the 7 of water. Your vision, creativity, and dedication to your cause have brought you great success. In fact, it may be in your best interest to get a partner to assist you in your endeavors or to expand the number of people helping you. That may be about what the masculine is wondering. Do I need more people? Should I enter partnership, romantic or otherwise? With 2 of them showing up, crossing one another, I say the answer is yes. Atop the Chariot, ego. You may feel that you're trapped in your situation, but that's not true. Be careful not to overly focus upon material wealth and break free of negative thinking. Ego, or the devil, and the Chariot, which represents the sign of Cancer, or Cancer and Capricorn together, and separate and apart, and together, can be very quote unquote karmic for me energy, reflective of those. Karmic energy. So this could be something that we need to run from. Something to which we feel tied, bound, that no longer serves us, and we need to get away from it. On the side of the masculine. This is you taking control of the reins of your own life and riding off into the sunset away from the quote-unquote devil. Atop the Ace of Water, masculine, very nice. It's the King of Autumn, compassionate, accomplished, charismatic, and grounded is the King of Autumn. Everything's going to turn out great. Projects will be stunningly successful. Exciting new career opportunities are possible. Relationships, I'd say, would be awesome too. And money or resources that come to your way, they'll all be invested wisely. This is happiness and fulfillment also in the areas of the material and the financial. This could be you getting the job of your dreams, you starting your own business, getting a partner, a business partner, starting some sort of venture together. If you're having fears and doubts about that, let go of those. Again, run from those and move forward toward this. Don't let worry and lack of faith be what holds you back from taking that leap like the fool. Because everything you touch is turning to gold right now, this week. Feminine, atop the sun, it's another high priestess. So now we're both rooted and crowned by a high priestess. This is the time to pause and reflect, not to take action. Trust your spiritual gifts, as nothing is hidden from your divine intuition. And we have yet another 1119 as well. On its own, these two cards, so separate from the rest of this, it's speaking to ideas that we're coming up with. Trust that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and that what you're thinking makes sense, and that it's a worthwhile idea to pursue. You don't have to tell everybody your plan, though. As a matter of fact, you should not tell everybody your plan. Don't tell everybody your plan. All the steps involved in it. Just begin to implement it. Take action. Surrounding the feminine, atop the hermit, it's another 9. Atop the 9 is another 9. Now's the time when your dreams come true. Don't worry about how this will happen, right? I just told you it's going to work out. Don't worry about how. Just give gratitude to God for all that you have and all that's still to come. Whatever it is, it may involve a Virgo or earth sign. It doesn't have to, but it might. Your dreams coming true. Or it could just be that sort of Virgo dedication and commitment and work ethic, or earth sign work ethic and commitment. And as it relates to marriage, at least my feeling and commitment in that regard, Virgo men in particularly are the marrying kind, you ask me. So maybe this is about somebody taking on that kind of energy, even if they are not of that zodiac. This week, them being likened to a Virgo, just as you've been hoping and wishing. And again, it can be you being likened to that kind of energy, just as you've been hoping and wishing, so that you can move forward on your dreams. In the feminine subconscious, sitting here with the high priestess, which for me represents the sign of Gemini or a water sign, is the princess of summer, a water sign, which for me would be a Pisces, but could be a Scorpio or Cancer as well. Sensitive, kind, open-hearted, and inexperienced is the princess of summer. You can expect to kindle a new romantic relationship or a close platonic friendship, right? The partnership. You may suddenly receive an emotional message from someone or be invited to a social event. So the Princess of Summer, or Page of Cups, is often about you making or receiving an offer of love too. So again, that offer of love may come to you from another water sign, or from a water sign in general, a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, from a Gemini, from a Sagittarius, or from a Virgo here. A lot of 9 on this table. 9 and 2 equals 11. A lot of 9 and 2. Crowning, atop the 9 of earth, the 7 of winter. Somebody doesn't want you to get to know and like and enjoy yourself as much as you would have it. Someone, an outside or something, an outside energy is either trying to be an influence or convince you to think negatively yourself. 7 of winter is the energy of joy stealing, as far as I'm concerned. Here's your joy right here, crossing it. The 9 of summer, wishes coming true, dreams coming true, prayers being answered. There's the joy. it's sitting next to the sun. There's more joy, right? Happiness, happy outcome, brilliant ideas that materialize into successful plans and situations. It's resulting in this. You enjoying life's luxuries and spending quiet time alone and having successful self-employment. Something wants to ruin that. It can be something that enters you and it like a negative thought and causes a lack of faith, a lack of trust in yourself, a lack of confidence, a lack of esteem, or it can be somebody else trying to throw some sort of monkey wrench in your plans and aim negative energy at you. And it can be an actual physical thief, someone trying to take some sort of material possession from you or money. At the roots, and that goes, I didn't mean to make it seem like that was only talking to the feminine if I did. That absolutely goes toward the masculine too, who again is very lucrative this week. And this 7 of winter atop the 9 of earth, crossing here his victory with the chariot and this devil. So again, this is the karmic energy or person who is trying to negatively influence you. How awesome is this? Atop the Ace of Earth is justice and the 8 that I began talking about. I began talking about 8 and 11 and justice, right? And abundance. Fair decisions will be made after all the evidence is reviewed impartially. Have compassion for others and try to see all the sides of a disagreement. Justice represents the sign of Libra in the tarot. So here's your air coming into play too. Justice sitting here atop the Ace of Earth. It's, you know, the abundance flowing to you because it's supposed to. Now's your time. You're getting your just due. Also, these two together would be reflective of Venus, the planet of abundance, who is in Taurus, Earth sign Taurus right now, which she rules. She also rules Libra and Gemini. So this is Venus gifting this to us because you deserve it, because you've earned it. It's your just due. It's time. Whether it is money, which again, particularly on this part of the masculine, it seems that it can be money, material things, and or love. Combinations of those. On the side of the feminine, it looks like we could be getting into our own business too and bringing some sort of idea to fruition that is going to make us financially or materially abundant as well. But we may have to put some work into ours. Ours is coming from our own wisdom and thought and speaking goodness over our lives and dreams coming true, making intentions, them being granted, them coming true. That's ours. And it can very much have to do with love, particularly on the part of the feminine with all these 2s. We're crowned by a 2, we're rooted in a 2, and underneath this 2 or atop this 2 sits the Princess of Summer, which again is about offers of love, and it sits under the 9 of Summer, which is about dreams being coming to fruition, prayers being answered, bringing us emotional fulfillment, joy. That's our justice. We've been waiting for this for a long time. In either case, it's extremely lucrative. But again, from the side of the masculine, he's got the Ace of Water, the King of Autumn, the Ace of Earth, and Justice all sitting here together. So that's, you know, financial and material wealth, as well as emotional happiness and maybe some love. At the heart of the matter, atop one of our 2s of fire is a baby. Specifically on the part of the masculine. Masculine could be having a baby or something about a child brings him extreme happiness. A partnership is born, right? It could be metaphoric, just like the passage I just read about the month of Iyar. A partnership is what's born. A partnership between you and a soulmate relation is what's born. That's what is the feminine's dream come true. That's for what she's been waiting to finally receive an offer of love from her soulmate, and for them to together form the 2 of spring, to be his choice. I told my ex, because he, we're finally in a place, I mentioned this, I think, I may have mentioned it to my Patreon subscribers in the daily, but I mentioned it recently to somebody on tape. that we're finally in a place where, you know, we can laugh about everything. I mean, thank God it's been like 30 years. Right? You know, we met when I was like 14. But getting here, you know, there were, of course, periods where he was with someone else and still calling me. This is why I had to have him. This is why I had to block him for like over a year. Still calling me or whatever. And I'm saying, go, like, it's okay. Like I've finally come to like a healthy place where I can acknowledge you didn't choose me. And that's all right. This is the masculine making a choice as it relates to relationships, or where it relates to relationships for those of us for whom it does. Making a choice. He is choosing to be with a soulmate, to make an offer of love, or to accept one. He is choosing to let go of his fear and go after the business or abundant, you know, situation that he's looking for in his life, that he's wanted. He's choosing to take action on his own behalf and to grab the reins of his own life. That's a conscious choice. Now, there will be an energy in both cases that will try to prevent you from doing that. And that may be what you have to heal. But justice is yours for the having. Okay? And ultimately, again, this overall energy is the Lovers. And the card behind it is not right side up. So it does not come into play. The overall energy is the Lovers. So whether it is business or friendship or romantic connections, or a stranger, as I mentioned, the giving of unconditional love to another will outweigh this. Or to yourself, as, you know, the 9 of Earth would do. The showing yourself true unconditional love and putting in the work to get to the point of where you can do that is what's going to help you to be the victor this week. In addition to that, I want to see what we can further let go of. What can we surrender? Surrender resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward. This sounds very Chiron and Aries, right? Move forward toward positive situations in your life. Surrender resentments. Surrender your fear of intimacy. That can very well be what this is too. This is telling us to power ahead. This could be like a devilish sexual energy, but also tied up in fear, and that fear preventing you from moving forward. Potentially. You're ready to let love in, compassionately identify, and begin to release any patterns that stop you from opening your heart. And what we just read about. Surrender your fear of intimacy. Masculine, further to that, surrender to inner peace. Cultivate inner peace on a daily basis in quiet meditation moments. Focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. For us, feminine, surrender your addictions. Whether you're addicted to substances, food, people, sex, or overworking, take action to begin to heal the addiction and to replace it with healthier alternatives. We can learn whatever that is by going within like the hermit. Another 2. And it's renewal or judgment, which represents the sign of Scorpio yet again. Judgment represents the planet Pluto for me, which goes into retrograde next week. So we'll talk about that next week. I think it's the 22nd. But this week, we're feeling this energy of the need to review and evaluate a favorable assessment of the facts. It's time to move in a new direction. So judgment, very plainly, is about being judgmental potentially and watching that we're not overly judgmental of ourselves or anyone else. And I think particularly this week, it would be mostly ourselves, right? Beating yourself down with negative thoughts and things, right? Don't do that. As it relates to work, which I think, again, is also important for the masculine this week. Work, career, finances, the material. It is about abundance earned, similar to the 3 of earth, but of course far more strong, being major, not only major arcana, but major arcana card number 20. So it is the universe gifting us somehow, or rewarding us rather than gifting, rewarding us somehow for our work or effort, whether in the tangible, like we can put it in our hand, it's money, it's a raise, it's a promotion, or it's a raise or promotion from above. But then when it is a raise or promotion from above, we get to see that down here, right? As above, so below. So that materializes, it manifests some way in our life. We get to see that we've been elevated, right? And realize it. That's what judgment is about. As it relates to relationships, it's this. It's a moment of deciding that we're at a crossroad and I have to choose, where do we go from here, if anywhere? Do we continue together or do we part ways here? And this could be reflective of some people who the masculine lets go in that regard too. Feminine, the king of air, who is brilliant, impartial, professional, and diplomatic. Speak your mind with confidence. Seek out professional advice and balance mental and emotional considerations. For some of the masculine, this is divorce too. We have justice crossing the devil. The devil is about feeling chained and about, like, this is not necessarily divorce, but like a split of some sort from something. And this could be the judge. This could be what results. It could be something having to do with work. This could be results in a settlement or whatever. This person who may be like our overall energy of the lovers, a Gemini, or who may be a Libra, Aquarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Oh, for the feminine, this is our advice though, but it drew me to the masculine's devil crossing justice. For us, this can still be about us getting to where we want to be and helping to navigate. I mentioned that the high priestess for me is also a Gemini, if not a water sign. So it's that sort of energy of being very convictional and sticking to your guns, and could be Mercury before he moves on into shadow. Could be Venus, also ruler of Gemini. Masculine, there's stuff going on, whether you can see it or not. Might be behind the scenes. This is also about your need to communicate or the possibility of you receiving a communication. Again, maybe an offer of love. You could be making one, you could be receiving one. You've been presented with many wonderful opportunities all at once. While this may be a very stressful time, remember to be grateful for the blessings that heaven sends you. So you could have a lot of stuff happening at one time. You're feeling a lot of different emotions, and maybe that also is reflective or reflected by the 7 of water, right? You got so many things happening, but you can handle them all and they're good. It's about positive movement forward, similar to you being at the reins of the horse in the chariot. And lastly, for the feminine, release or death. More Scorpio, let go of the old phase, right? It's time to release the past and to move on to something new. This ending is the first step on the way to a happier future. Happy outcome. I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's reading and find it helpful. Namaste, angels.
It's so